But with Seattle, onto the Hawks, they beat the 49ers 41-6, getting that first round bye. So they got that week of rest. First time back in the game since 2014. And who they beat in 2014 in overtime, 28-22?
Oh, the Packers.
They beat the
We
Packers.
don't talk about. We
Russell
don't talk about that.
Wilson to Jermaine Kearse.
Jermaine Kearse.
Walk-off touchdown. And Adams hated onside kicks ever since.
What part of we don't talk about this have you not got?
And Fred, you'll have the beautiful, glorious coach of that day who never went for it, potentially on your team soon as well.
Mike McCarthy, you meaning?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I don't know about that. I don't think it will be. Anyway, that's for another day. Steelers is for another day. Seattle, a lot of inexperience on this team for getting to this game. They're a young squad. They're a young team, Sky, but they've been tremendous. Their defense has been absolutely sublime all season. They've been one of the most enjoyable teams to watch on offense as well. Third best offense in this league. I mean, we picked apart a few holes with the Rams. What's the but what about that for the Seattle Seahawks?
Adams,
and yes, I'm leading I am leading the horse to water here.
He knows what's coming. Well, obviously, the key in this game is, like you said, the Rams have a weakness in their secondary, but is Sam Darnold the quarterback to exploit that? Because even though Seattle's secondary is elite, Matthew Stafford is also an elite quarterback. So the weakness, without being harsh to him, is Sam Darnold. And I think this game just pure and simply turns on how he plays. Like I said, Chris Schuler has done well against him previously. And, it just, even that game when they came back and won, offensively, they started that horribly. And I've always said from that point that, if Adams had played in that game, the Rams win. But I do feel like Seattle's confidence has grown. They needed that win in the playoffs. But then again, it's a banged up Niners team. I don't want to put down anything that the 49ers did to get there. And it was impressive by Seattle because you can only beat who's in front of you. But yeah, the weakness is Darnold. And it does not help, obviously, that Zach Charbonnet is injured, because he took over this year really from Kenneth Walker and was key in big moments. So now we're going back to one running back, and that puts more pressure on Darnold as well, because they probably will end up passing it more. So it's going to be tough for him. But if he gets it done this week, then who can really say anything? But, he saw ghosts in New York, so I'm sure he's bound to see ghosts at some point.
Not in his own stadium, surely. The 12th man, they're not going to allow it. No ticket, no entry for the ghosts at the...
If he plays the Pats in the Super Bowl, Salem's down the road in Boston, and there's a lot of spooky stuff there, so there'll be more ghosts coming in San Fran.
He's not wrong, Adam. He's not wrong with Darnold, and I think you completely agree on that. That is, it's can he do it in the... It's not the biggest game just yet.
The bright lights.
Can he do it? Yeah, can he do it when the bright lights are on and you're playing a very, very good side as well?
Yeah, it's going to be tough for him. I mean, in the playoff game where they played against the 49ers, he only had 12 passes, and I mean, they didn't need to do any more than that, which is fair enough. They got themselves in a position where they were up very quickly, and obviously they could rely on the run game, and Kenneth Walker got 3 touchdowns in that game, so it kind of worked out pretty well, and you didn't have to rely on Darnold to do anything. I imagine they're probably going to try and use the run game as much as they can, but like you say, without Zach Charbonnet there, it does sort of limit the type of runs that they can do. You do have Ken Walker, who it did feel like during this season had kind of lost the starting job to a certain degree, and it had kind of become more of a 50-50 split at one point, and arguably more to Charbonnet by the end of the season. So it is a difficult one. It does feel that Darnold is going to be relied upon more in order to be able to get the win in this game. And, obviously he is going up against a Rams defense where the front seven are very, very good. And that is going to be very difficult for him to deal with, obviously, throughout the whole game. I do think he can potentially exploit the secondary, and he can get some wins in that way. I think we saw that he can do things like that throw to Jackson Smith and Jigba towards the beginning of the game against the 49ers. I think he does have that potential. Whether he can do that throughout the whole game is the real question, and one that it kind of feels a little bit like he hasn't really answered, and to be honest, hasn't really had the opportunity to answer. So it is really difficult to sort of come out and go, oh, well, they're not going to win because Darnold's not good, basically going to freak out because of how big the game is. But yeah, I mean, it is an unanswered question, and I think it is one area where you feel like they might not be able to score as many points as what they have done in previous games because of that. So it does make it an interesting spectacle because of that.
I mean, he's thrown 15 interceptions in the regular season.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty bad. Like, I know I sort of said it last week on the preview, and I don't actually believe about the Pats Broncos game, but I firmly believe about this game. The turnover battle, whoever wins turnover battle is going to win this game. That's ultimately what it's going to be. Now, the Rams aren't some turnover machine. You know, they can get pressure to you, but it's a lot of picks, and it is. You're right about with Darnold, and it's going to be the ball security. It's going to be not forcing it. You know, picking the right times to go and when to just check down and not get caught up in the moment. I think he's capable of doing it. I think he's capable of doing it. And I think people will really eat their words if he wins this game in a very convincing fashion, because for me, this team's a Super Bowl favorite at this point. I'm very much in the driving seat of they will win the Super Bowl. For me, I think their defense is far too good, and I think their offense is far too powerful as well. Yes, losing Charbonnet is a problem, but I think it's something that this team can overcome. And I mean, yeah, the defense is really, really good for Seattle. And they're so young. They're so young. I mean, Nick Emanwori, the rookie safety, God, he's been amazing. I mean, we knew he was going to be very good when he got drafted, but it is almost a team of I sort of say it like a joke about it with the Denver team, and I've heard it on some podcasts. That's why I sort of say it's a defense where you can't really name anyone, but they're all really, really, really good. And it's a little bit like Denver. They don't really have any stars, but all the players are very, very good. And like, you know, Witherspoon maybe is, but they got Clowney, haven't they, on the line? I don't remember who the other pass rusher is. Not sure who their defensive tackles are, but they have played at the highest level this year.
Byron Murphy, like there's a few, but I know what you mean. Maybe because they're all so good, we don't hear about them in the way of like when the Rams will say Kobe Turner, Jared Verse. You know, I think that you more can pick people. Seattle have just got talent across the entire team. Even the secondary with like Bryant and Love. Emanwori was my pick when we did our mid-season show for Rookie of the Year on the defensive side. It's stacked with talent. It's tough though without Charbonnet. Like they activated George Halani, who is born in New Zealand. I found out. So to know, unless there's a secret recipe with a Kiwi, maybe they can. It's the perfect replacement for Charbonnet.
Who's going to win this game then, Sky?
I remember saying in my earlier point, I said that if Devontae Adams is healthy, I've never really been able to look past the Rams going all the way, just because of how good this offense is. But then I do think the Rams will get it done because of the point you made about the coaching, the point Adams made about Adams as well, and the fact that Darnold and losing a running back. I think as much as defense can keep him in the game, as long as Stafford, he has been a bit weird in, these first two games. He hasn't been amazing really until the fourth quarter, which when you need to be, same as Drake May did against the Texans. But I think we expect more from Stafford at this point in his career. But I don't think he'll be phased. So I'm going to lean towards the Rams, but surely, like, it could be 1 point game, guys. It could be like 31-30.
I think it's going to be 26-24 overtime Seattle. I think it'll be that close. I think you're very right. I think this could be a 1-score game. It could be a 1 point game. Sorry, not 1-score game. I think I'm siding with Seattle because I just can't see past them. I think the Rams are really, really good, and I think they're really going to bring it to them. I'm just really on the bandwagon and on the train for the Seattle team. They just do everything so well. They just execute really well, and I want to believe in Darnold as well. I want to believe that these teams messed it up with him. New York, Carolina.
It would be a good fairy tale, as much as I hate to admit it's not the right word, but it would be a nice story. But yeah, I'm not even saying I don't even have a preference if we circle back in terms of me being a Patriots fan. I don't even have a preference on who I'd rather play because they are both
I don't want to play either of them. That's really
they're both so strong in their own way.
I want to play the Bears. That's who you want to play.
Before I hand over to Adam, the thing that I did read though is obviously Seahawks are now including the playoffs 15-3. Their 3 losses have been by a combined 9 points. So, like you said, they are insanely good. But I just think that really, if any team can beat them, it probably is the Rams because of the divisional familiarity aspect and their strengths being so high. Stafford, Adams, Nakua, McVay.
Go on, Adam. You've got the tiebreaker on this.
I will go with the Rams just because I have kind of been with the Rams all the way through this, and there's no point changing now, sort of thing. I think I think the 1-score game is right. It will be very tight. I think one thing actually that we didn't mention, the Seahawks special teams as well is very good and could be a difference maker as well. But I'm going to stick with the Rams, and I just feel that because we all think this is going to be a tight game, and I think most people think this is going to be a tight game, I sort of think to myself, who would I rather have as my quarterback in that situation? And so I think because of that, I'd rather be on the side of Stafford and McVay than I would on Darnold and McDonald. And that's kind of all it boils down to. Both very good teams. Unfortunately, can't be the Super Bowl, but would have been a good Super Bowl. And I'm going to stick with the Rams. Sure.
Fred, can I just say that if Seattle do draw up an amazing game plan, Clint Kubiak has been linked with the Steelers job. I know this is not about your Steelers, but was he coordinator for Seattle? Like maybe
no, they go for defensive head coaches. It's not going to happen.
I think it's going to be Shula myself. I think at this point, that's the one that's really coming
Don
out.
Shula.
Don Shula, yeah.
Special assistant.